Yes, hello. So we continue from last time. We basically ended at this slide where I started talking about the importance of security in DAOs and why security is critical for DAOs. Everything is recorded and on the YouTube channel. So let's jump to the next slide. This is part two. Yes. So we're trying to basically bridge the gap with AI and model-driven approaches to enhance the security of AI. And we can consider AI as a solution. So, as a solution in the sense for the security enhancements, in that the AI continuously monitors DAO activities to detect anomalies and vulnerabilities like in unforeseen, untypical behavior patterns of stakeholders and so on. Also, we generate predictive analytics with AI to anticipate attacks or governance failures. Yeah, so we just go through the logs and see what we have, how we are on some sort of pattern that indicates there's some security breach, some attack vector in place. And the more we move into the pattern, the higher the probabilities that we are indeed under attack. Um, yeah, so if we have a model-driven design that also helps the resilience, yeah, of the DAO that we want to design. As I mentioned, we have DAO ML. In previous videos, I mentioned the DAO ML is for organizing the organizational layer of a DAO, then the control layer, and and then the execution layer. And with DAO mode, so this is all done in a visual way, and you hit the button, and out comes the Solidity code, which I work on with my PhD students. The DAO mode is then to also in a visual way, and we will see examples in later slides for that. In a visual way, design the token economy that is in support of the governance mechanisms in place in the DAO that we design in a totally model-driven design way. So if we, yeah, and the token economy, of course, reinforces the positive or positively reinforces good conduct, yeah, on the DAO that is governance-wise beneficial to the stakeholders, yeah. And with that, with this model-driven approach, yeah, we have the chance to actually enable a much more structured DAO development, yeah, where we can through the plugging in of AI, and I would say this is future work. So everything I'm presenting here is future work based on the work I'm doing with my PhD student Sovelo Avanzo at the University of Turin, and so everything I'm talking about will be part of the future work chapter, which Sovelo and I will probably do once Sovelo will be a postdoc. Yeah. So the point is, if we have a visual representation of the DAO and the supporting token economy, then it's also much easier to pinpoint where in the structure uh, AI-enabled security mechanisms are really beneficial. Yeah. And this is all very conducive for sound DAO development and something we don't have in place for now. Or to our knowledge, we're the first ones who are taking such an approach. So such a systematic design, yeah, that we propose with the tool support that reduces risks of exposing attack vectors and it enhances also the scalability of the entire DAO approach. So I have here two little screenshots that I found online in support of the security in DAOs, or just showing you this is very important. Some of you might actually know this story, but in 2014, so there's this story about Ethereum, yeah. And the white paper for Ethereum came out in 2014, and then Ethereum was launched in 2015. And then in 2016, they became very bold. They wanted to have a really cool use case for the DAO, sorry, for Ethereum, and they created a group, a crowdfunding DAO. Yeah, they called it the DAO. Yeah, and they programmed the DAO, yeah, in Solidity, which is a very problematic smart contract language. And they threw in a pot of $60 million. No, actually more. Hang on. 60 million was actually what was pulled out. Was it even like 360 million? I mean, a crazy amount of dollars, certainly in 2016, given the hyperinflation rate of the last years. I'm just kidding. 360 million back then, and I would have, I think I remember that was the amount. But it's very easy for everyone to Google or whatever, DuckDuckGo themselves, what the concrete number was in the DAO, yeah. But a huge honeypot, so to speak, yeah. And then the security check was very funny. So those who developed the DAO basically gave to the friends the code and say, "Hey, check it. Does it make sense?" Yeah. And this is not how you do a code review. Yeah. Certainly not. You don't give the code to your friends who are soft on you and will not give you brutally honest feedback. Yeah. So it turned out there was an exploit in the code, to put it more visually. Somebody figured out you can open a port and then put a stick in, yeah, and then you can place a request for funds. And once that funding request was satisfied, I mean the gate would basically close to that one request. However, the person who found the exploit put found out a mechanism how to keep the gate open, yeah, and then just kept pulling out funding, and it was like $60 million. So the mantra of Ethereum was code is law. Yeah. However, after 60 million were extracted, and surely some wild threats of all sorts, probably not even just legal, were issued to the Ethereum people. It came to a hard fork. Yeah. Why did the hard fork? Because then the funding, which was taken by the hacker, the idea was, well, that's then cannot be used by the hacker. Yeah. And the hacker was actually even so kind. Before he took the funding out, he said, "Look, here's an exploit," and tried to communicate where the exploit is. Yeah. And the Ethereum people did absolutely nothing, although they were warned. So the hacker then just thought, okay, in that case, I warned you, yeah, you didn't do anything. So he started pulling the funding out because code is law, and there was the exploit. He had the opportunity, so took the funding out. So it came then to a hard fork. As I said, so we have the current Ethereum. I like to call it Ethereum bailout, yeah, which is the hard fork version, which is considered the main version. And then there's Ethereum Classic, where code is still law. Yeah, so they would not have, um, or it's the community that split off then, that was really upset about code being law, that mantra being violated, or that orthodoxy. Yeah, so this is a funny little story. You can search for it yourself. Just type in the DAO hack. Yeah, you can then check where I got wrong, where I went wrong with the numbers. But I think I can remember 360 dollars were in the DAO, and 60 million roughly were pulled out. Then I have here another little screenshot about DAO challenges and descriptions, just to quickly go through it. We have had a lack of legal framework, yeah. So that's it means if you run a DAO, it's a legal gray zone. However, not in all countries. For example, in Wyoming, the US state of Wyoming, a DAO is a legal entity. Tommy, you wanted to say something?
Until till the end, let's go through this, and then
Okay. Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
yeah.
Yes. Right. So, and Wyoming is not the only jurisdictions at this point where DAOs have actually become legal entities. Yeah. Just beyond Wyoming, I cannot immediately come up with any other examples. Maybe wouldn't surprise me if it's maybe Dubai. Also, in Europe, I came across the information that in Estonia they have all the good regulation in place to really support DAO establishment as well. However, I think it's not as fine-tuned as it would be in, let's say, Wyoming. Yeah. Then we have the issue of smart contract vulnerabilities in DAOs. Yeah. So there can be the opportunity to exploit bugs and have a loss of funds, like in the DAO story, that I told you about. Then there are Sybil attacks possible, like fake identities can be used to influence decision making in, say, DAO voting procedures. Yeah. Also, you can interfere in the conflict resolution mechanisms. Yeah. Maybe create this kind of a deadlock. So it's really important to have clear mechanisms in place when it comes to conflict management. Then there's the forking dilemma. Yeah. Hard forking means that you, like in the case of Ethereum, fork the code so much that even the tokens affiliated cannot be rolled over. So there's a soft fork and a hard fork. Soft fork means it's a non-disruptive, like a slow rolling fork, yeah, where everything from the previous version can be rolled over. That's a soft fork, but a hard fork is really like an epoch change, a hard transition where the old version is really absolutely not, it's not possible to roll things over to the new version. Yeah. So, and this is what can happen if, let's say, you have conflicts maybe, and that can culminate in a fork. Then you can have voter apathy. That's also bad. Yeah. If you have a low turnout of voters, so that leads to some sort of centralization of the voting. Yeah. For sure, you lose your legitimacy as a DAO. Yeah. Then there can also be governance capture, that somebody maybe with many tokens to stake, yeah. And if the incentive mechanisms with the token economy is not well thought through, that just somebody has so many tokens and can hijack the governance altogether and create governance capture. It's also very problematic. Governance tooling, yeah, that we have a lack of user-friendly tools. Luckily, these days we have DAO systems around that have actually invested quite a lot into also tool development. Then there's the aspect of token distribution, yeah. Well, that you see immediately there's kind of an overlap, like governance capture wouldn't be. I think it's very, very easily then doable if the token distribution is not widely spread, but really if you have an oligopoly or a monopoly, even, yeah, when it comes to the majority token holding, given such an entity too much power in staking, yeah, proof of stake. Social and cultural barriers. So let's say we have diverse backgrounds, um, and well, maybe what comes to my mind there is the classical digital divide that's also very often talked about in certain social science literature. Yeah, so digital literacy is of course a problem. Ethical and moral dilemmas. Yeah, that's a DAO challenge. Yeah, so we need to balance all the interests and adhere to certain principles that then means, I mean, let's say you have a bunch of anarchists that come together, they want to have a DAO run as an anarchy. Yeah? You have maybe royalists, they want to be run by some sort of virtual king in the DAO, yeah, and lords and so on. You can have maybe fascists, you can have Democrats, and so on. Yeah. Uh, um, who want to have a DAO that represents certain values that fits their own ethics and values. Yeah. And then there can also be operational challenges with respect to the scalability and sustainability issues, while sustainability has to be, of course, properly defined. But let's say if you use proof of stake, I think if we're talking about some imaginary CO2 issues and global warming issues, then I think with proof of stake, you already solve many good problems. Okay, maybe I stop here. Thank you so much. I think this would conclude the security issues, and next time we move forward to the next session. Thank you.